Kratos versus Juggernaut. Two of the strongest, toughest, most unstoppable forces of nature out there. Two characters ready to fight and beat anybody in their way or go down trying. But what happens when they face off against each other? Who's gonna come out on top there? Really, is it even close? Let's get into it. Born in Sparta, Kratos is a demigod son of Zeus and was once a soldier and Spartan general. He worked under Ares' command, serving the god of war, until he accidentally killed his wife and daughter under Ares' order. The ghost of Sparta renounced his service to the god of war, eventually killing him and ascending to true godhood himself, becoming the new god of war. And from there, Kratos continued on his deicide, claiming revenge against his father Zeus and all the Olympian gods who had betrayed him. After following through on his vengeance, Kratos left to Norway in the world of the Norse gods. And of course, war and fighting followed him there too. Now Kratos isn't just a great character, he's also just an absolute beast. He is so freaking powerful. And there is a difference between gameplay Kratos and lore Kratos. Like in the gameplay, we've seen Kratos struggle to lift some rocks. He gets hurt by swords or arrows or random skeleton warriors. Sometimes he can't even open certain chests. Even when he's literally killing gods, it doesn't necessarily feel that earth-shattering, especially when you compare it to some of the stuff going on in the Marvel universe. But that's why you have to understand the lore of Kratos in the God of War universe, because that's how you'll see just what a beast Kratos truly is. Like, let me explain the God of War cosmology here for a second, as there are basically three different power groups you need to know about: primordials, titans, and gods. In the beginning, before anything was, there were the primordials. These beings waged war on each other before the very concept of time existed. And out of this war came the Earth. And not just the Earth, but the whole universe itself. I mean, they were throwing punches around and literally creating the Big Bang. That's insane. And what's even crazier? Kratos killed some of them. Like Gaia, Mother Earth, the first being to ever exist. Kratos killed her. Thanatos, the primordial personification of death, and responsible for helping to create the universe. Kratos killed him. The very concept of death. And Kratos killed him. Then there are the Titans, the spawns of the primordials, like Kratos, king of the Titans, 16,000 feet tall, 7 million tons. And when this Titan tried to crush Kratos with his fingers, Kratos was able to hold him off and push him back. That's like holding back millions of tons, billions of tons of force. It's an absolutely insane showing. Kratos has had the same universe-shaking fights against primordials, but he wasn't able to fight and kill Kratos. And Kratos did it again. This time he was fighting against Atlas, a titan who's roughly just as strong as Kratos and is tasked with holding the sky on his shoulders. Atlas tried to squish Kratos just like Kratos did, but Kratos was able to hold it off and push him back, just like he did with Kratos. Wait. Hold on, let me make sure you get that. Atlas is the strongest titan in God of War. It required the might of both Hades and Poseidon to stop him. He could hold the entire cosmos on his shoulders and prevent it from falling and collapsing. And in God of War, the sky and the entire cosmos has been confirmed a few times to be literally infinite and limitless. Atlas is performing the same feat as like when Superman held up a book of infinite pages, or when Hercules held the literal sky, simply holding up infinity. Yet he still failed to crush Kratos. And Kratos is also just a fraction of his size too. Then there are the times where Kratos fought against gods, and specifically some pretty powerful Norse gods, like Thor. Thor is so strong and so powerful that his battle with Jormungandr splintered the tree Yggdrasil, and this is what it looks like when a tree is splintered. But Yggdrasil is so much more than just a tree. It's a construct that transcends space and time and supports all of creation with its existence, holding the infinite universes that are housed within Norse mythos. Thor splintered that tree with his fight with Jormungandr, and sent Jormungandr backwards through time with a punch, back before even his own birth. This is the guy that Kratos fought against, and it's the guy that Kratos was able to beat and overpower by the end of the game. And not just that, but defeating gods like Hades, and ripping out Hades' soul, defeating Baldur, a guy who can knock out the world serpent with just 3 punches, and defeat even Zeus and Odin themselves, beating literal universal and Skyfather level beings by himself. He truly is the ultimate god killer. Cain Marko was the stepbrother of Charles Xavier, the founder of the X-Men, and grew up jealous over his brother's telepathy, forming a lasting resentment between the two. During his service in the army during the Korean War, Cain would stumble across a cave that had a temple dedicated to the powerful mystic being known as Sidorak. Touching the crimson gem at the heart of the temple, Cain was transformed into Sidorak's avatar on Earth, an unstoppable human Juggernaut. For years he would face off against the X-Men, the Hulk, Spider-Man, Thor, Doctor Strange, and many other superheroes. But one constant remained for the Juggernaut. No matter the obstacle, he will never stop. Juggernaut is superhumanly strong, and does have the unique power in being completely unstoppable. And I mean that pretty literally. He can straight up walk through miles of bedrock and fracture tectonic plates. He can walk right through the Hulk. The only way World War Hulk could stop him is just by getting out of his way, sending Juggernaut charging straight out of the battlefield. Because, like I said, he's unstoppable. That's absolutely nuts. And like I said, he's also incredibly strong. Strong enough to regularly fight against both Thor and Hulk and beat both of them his fair share of times. These two have always kind of seemed like the cream of the crop when it comes to physical powerhouses over in Marvel. They're the top tier, but Juggernaut really should be right up there with them. For as many times as he's gone toe-to-toe with them and fought against them, even beat them, it's really hard to say that Juggernaut isn't just as strong. And on top of that, Jugs has regularly one-shotted some pretty powerful people, like Colossus, Captain Britain, even Captain Marvel Jr. in a crossover with DC, so that just further sets him apart from the rest and shows he's one of the top powerhouses in the Marvel Universe. And then, as if that kind of strength wasn't enough, Juggernaut has a force field that adds to his already insanely impressive durability, just further solidifying the fact that he is truly unstoppable. He's been completely fine after taking point-blank attacks from the Hulk, point-blank attacks from Thor. He's been punched from Earth to Mars by Scar and lived to tell about it. It was completely unharmed by Cyclops with enough force to tear a planet in half. Now, it's definitely debatable if Scott really has that kind of power behind his optic blast, but seeing as how Juggernaut just completely no-sold it and just laughed, I'm gonna say it really didn't matter to him. Now, the rule is that he has to have his helmet on for this impenetrable force field to operate around Juggernaut. But even when his helmet has been removed or the force field negated altogether, Kane is still ridiculously tough and can put up a fight against the best of them. And it's not just simply punches either. He can't be cut by Wolverine's claws. He's completely fine after being hit with lightning bolts from Thor, or even a God Blast, an attack that scared Galactus in the past. Heat and cold don't faze him, and it doesn't matter how hot or cold it is. He'll never grow tired, he'll never stop. Juggernaut has even been completely reduced to a skeleton, and he just kept on going. Juggernaut is truly unstoppable. So who wins here? Well, let's break it down. Now, Juggernaut is insanely powerful here. I'm not even kidding. Juggernaut is a planet-level force, with strength ranging from planetary to even stellar levels of infinite stamina. He'll literally never tire. But if you want to be generous, well, you could scale Juggernaut up to galaxy or universal levels if you really wanted to. He's been able to fight against the Hulk, easily overpower the Hulk as he ran right through him. He's beat the Hulk before. But Hulk has had fights before where he's destroyed universes. He shook the whole multiverse. Yet Juggernaut is powerful enough to straight match the Hulk. So it's possible that Juggernaut is on those levels too. Or Thor. Thor is strong enough to move 10 whole universes at the same time. But yet there have been several times where Juggernaut has just absolutely bodied Thor and beat Thor in a fight. Not even to mention the fact that Juggernaut has scrapped with Nightmare in his dream dimension before, or overpowered Sidorak himself in the Crimson Cosmos. So again, it suggests that Juggernaut is potentially on universal level scaling. That's kind of being generous, if you ask me. But here's the thing, you know who else is crazy powerful and gets a ton of help from insane scaling? Yeah, it's Kratos. Like, just look at some of the gods that Kratos has managed to kill, and just how powerful they are. Now, Kratos has managed to kill plenty of gods, but it was really impressive he's able to take down the big three Greek gods, Hades, Poseidon, and Zeus. Hades is the third most powerful Greek god in God of War. He's even able to gobble up Atlas's soul and gain all of his power. And Atlas is one of the most powerful titans and can carry an infinite dimension on his shoulders. So the way that Hades works, that his power increases with the more souls that he devours, and Kratos fought Hades centuries after the Great War. So that means that the version of Hades that Kratos was fighting was even more powerful than when Hades fought Atlas. Yet Hades still couldn't end up devouring Kratos' soul. Instead, it ended up being the other way around. And along with it, well, Kratos gained all the other souls that Hades had eaten. Poseidon is the second most powerful god. While we don't really know a ton about him, we do know that he can kill a titan with just one punch. He would have even killed Gaia herself if it wasn't for Kratos, if he hadn't gotten to Poseidon first. Then last but not least, Zeus, the most powerful being in God of War. He almost killed Gaia with just one lightning bolt. His mere anger can shake the entire universe. He created the Blade of Olympus, the most powerful weapon in the universe, and used it to absolutely obliterate the Titans. It's basically like the Infinity Gauntlet. You just gotta swing it around. You just gotta use it, and every being ceases to exist against it. It's pretty freaking crazy. But then Zeus was stabbed twice with the blade and didn't die. It just made him mortal. That's how powerful Zeus is. And really, you can say the same with Odin in the Norse mythology too. Odin is the king of the Aesir. He's the father of gods like Thor and Balder. He's literally older than time itself. And he's the one responsible for creating the different realms. Like Odin battled against the first frost giant Ymir, then carved up his flesh and created 6 of the 9 realms out of his body, which are whole separate space-time continuums. According to the God of War director, Odin and Zeus are pretty much directly comparable to each other, so that means that both of them are universal to even above universal gods. And you know what? Kratos killed him. He killed Zeus too. Kratos beat all of them. Kratos is just out there consistently beating universal level beings, even beings beyond the universe, beating the very gods and beings that were responsible for creating the universe in the first place. And Kratos is beating all of them. He's basically their reckoning. Now, Juggernaut is incredibly strong, although there is the caveat that his strength and power is heavily dependent on the will of Sidorak, just how much power Sidorak is willing to give Juggernaut at that moment. But really, Juggernaut has been able to match up against World War Hulk before. One of the strongest versions of the Hulk we've ever seen, and Juggernaut is able to match up against him. That's not the only version of the Hulk that Juggernaut has been able to match up against. He's really, really strong. But more than that, Juggernaut is insanely tough and just dang near unstoppable. Absolutely nothing can stop Juggernaut when he gets going. Literally nothing. He's just unstoppable. And then for durability, well, Thor has rained down blow after blow on Juggernaut, and nothing seemed to faze him as Juggernaut kept on fighting. Thor's broken hammer after hammer while battling against Juggernaut until he finally went down. Scar punched Juggernaut from Earth to Mars, and he was just fine. It's very, very hard to hurt Juggernaut. It's pretty much impossible to stop him when he comes charging at you. But again, Kratos is incredibly powerful. Like, incredibly powerful. Like Juggernaut was able to battle against World War Hulk. Well, he didn't win that fight, and World War Hulk was holding back that whole time. Kratos was able to fight against and beat Thor. And while Thor might not look too much, this same god was able to splinter Yggdrasil, an infinite higher dimensional structure, and shake all the realms within it, which are said to be their own separate space-time universes. Kratos was able to overpower this guy and beat him, at least their second time around, when he was actually trying to win the fight. And that's not even the most powerful god that Kratos has beaten. Zeus and Odin are still more powerful, and Kratos is just as tough too, taking attacks from all sorts of gods and beings that are powerful enough to rip holes in reality or shatter and shake the universe. And Kratos has always gotten up just fine. And if you want to say that Juggernaut can still keep on going through any injury, well, Kratos has been able to come back from death itself and done it several times over. So that's not just a thing for Juggernaut alone. Kratos can do pretty much the same thing. So, who's ultimately winning here? Well, I think it's gotta be Kratos, just cause Juggernaut has always been a little bit overrated. Like, for all the comparing him to the likes of Hulk or Thor, while that's maybe true on Jug's best day, it's not really a fair comparison for him. In fact, Hulk has regularly been able to beat him. Even Professor Hulk one-shotted him. And Juggernaut has said before that the Hulk is stronger than him. Same can be said for Thor too. Thor's always been the more powerful one out of the two. It's even gone down to the point where Juggernaut has battled straight up against Rhino, and it'd be a relatively even fight. And I know, you can say the same thing for Kratos too. He struggled against guys much weaker than him. But at the end of the day, he's able to fight and battle against guys way more powerful than really anything Juggernaut has done, literally killing Skyfathers. Now, there is Tryon Juggernaut. This is when he was able to absorb the full power of Sidorak, began to completely wreck shop, breaking down dimensional walls and shattering reality with punches. At the same time, Tryon Juggernaut isn't really something that Jugs can just call on at will. It completely depends on how much power Sidorak is willing to give him at the moment, and Tryon Juggernaut was a one-off instance. Outside of that, well, Kratos is taking it here. Kratos wins.